Hello and welcome back. It has been a minute since I've continued this here campaign, and tonight I'm ready to fight Taskmaster. But before I do that, I've gotten a little feedback about deck building, about just kind of talking through the process and everything. And since I wanted to make some changes to this deck before I continued, I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to do that. So let me raise this up a bit. Myself some real estate, and I'm just going to spend some time making a few quick edits to this deck based off of how it's played on the last two games, and just kind of like talk through that process and why I'm doing it for anyone who may not be as familiar with the game in general, or maybe with playing Black Widow or playing leadership or even just general theory crafting. So I'm just going to talk through the changes I'm making and why. So the two things that I've noticed playing these last two games with Black Widow, one, the shield synergy definitely works with her, but not in a single player game to get the full shield card economy working like I might be able to in a multiplayer game. I especially overestimated the likelihood of being able to play Agent 13 and Mr. Dugan here. So I think these two are getting cut because I don't think I've played either one of them this entire time. And I know Agent 13 is a 4 cost, and I have played Nick Fury. However, the trade-off there was because I was able to justify playing Nick because I had Government Liaison and Helicarrier out. And just to kind of talk through that, Government Liaison lets you exhaust Government Liaison, play a shield card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 1. And then Helicarrier lets you exhaust Helicarrier, choose a player, reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays this phase by 1. So by playing Helicarrier, I get to knock off the cost of something, and then exhausting Government Liaison, I'm specifically playing a shield card from my hand, reducing it by 1. That basically lets me get Nick Fury and play for 2, which gives me a 2-cost ally, which then also lets me draw 3 cards. So under the right circumstances, Nick is very worth playing, whereas I never really got the opportunity to justify playing Agent 13 or Dum Dum Dugan. Another one that I'm kind of iffy about is Command Team. Because if I can get Command Team in play, being able to ready an ally, it's I'm pretty. If I remember right, I played Command Team last game against Absorbing Man because I remember being able to use Bucky a couple times in a turn. But then Sky Destroyer, after you play a shield card, exhaust Sky Destroyer, deal 2 damage to an enemy. I just don't know about ever getting that into play. Like, being able to get Nick Fury in play and Maria Hill. Where are you, Ms. Hill? Getting Nick Fury or Maria Hill in play are both shield cards. Getting Helicarrier and Government Liaison. But, like, these are priorities over Sky Destroyer. So by the time all of these are out, getting Sky Destroyer out later in the game, I'm just wondering if I'm really going to prioritize playing that. So, or like same with Command Team. Command Team's a shield card, so like that's a little bit more worth it. It's also a lot cheaper. Because what I noticed in these last two games is being able to more readily activate all of the preparation cards. Oh shoot, R&D facility is also a shield card, which I also have not played once this whole time. I still think there's viability for MedLab. I just need to actually utilize it. Anyway, what I was saying, getting the getting the preparation cards to activate has been a priority because of the way the numbers all scale in single player. You know, doing 1 damage or doing 2 damage, it's whatever in a 2 or 3 player game. You know, like every little bit helps. But in a single player game where a villain only has 15 health, you know, triggering attack acrobatics to deal 2 damage back to the enemy, and then Black Widow's Widowmaker dealing that 1 damage to an enemy as well. You know, if you're doing 2 or 3 damage to an enemy during the villain phase, and then, you know, come your turn, another 2 damage, and then, you know, another 1 or 2 damage again from Widowmaker, like, that scales a lot faster and a lot better in single player. And so I'm kind of relying, especially relying on those preparation cards to shut down the villain phase, so I don't have to worry about being in danger nearly as much. You know, like attack acrobatics canceling boost icons to deal damage, and then dealing 1 damage with Widowmaker, and then grappling hook canceling a treachery card, so I don't have to deal with the encounter card, and then also dealing 1 damage with Widowmaker. Like, there's just not a time where I shouldn't be prioritizing these things. So I really need to cut the cost curve and take some of these shield cards out. The thing is, I kind of had a skewed memory of why this worked so well before, but I was playing the deck a fundamentally different way. Because I was actually playing a sneak attack deck the last time I did this, and sneak attack is a leadership card that lets you play an ally from your hand without paying the cost, but the difference is the ally goes away at the end of the player phase. So you only... So, like... here it is. Sneak attack. This card right here. If I can get that to focus a little bit. So it's choose an ally in your hand that shares a trait with your identity. And let's see. Yep, and in Alter Ego, Black Widow has the shield trait. So choose an ally in your hand that shares a trait with your identity. So that would be Nick, Mockingbird, Maria Hill, Agent 13, Dum Dum Dugan. And put it into play. If that ally is still in play at the end of the phase, discard it. So what I was doing the last time where I was able to justify it was I could use sneak attack to play this 5-cost ally. And when you put him into play, when you use one of Dum Dum Dugan's basic powers, exhaust up to 3 shield cards you control, and for each card exhausted this way, he gets +1 to the power for this use. So this was a situation where I could use sneak attack, put him in play, attack with him, exhaust, you know, Helicarrier, Government Liaison, Command Team, Sky Destroyer, even Natasha. But I could exhaust 3 cards, add 3 to his attack. He would attack for 6. And then I could exhaust Command Team to ready him and do it a second time. So for the 1 cost of sneak attack, I could play this ally, exhaust my support cards that are on the table, deal 6 damage, and the consequential damage gets rid of him, but sneak attack says that he would have gone away at the end of the player phase anyway. So it was a really cheap way, like, paying 1 to play sneak attack to deal 6 damage was pretty damn good. But that doesn't really translate well to having to actually pay the full cost, or, Government Liaison plus Helicarrier still leaves him at 3 cost. So that's pretty pricey. So I think he's going to have to go away. So we're going to keep these command teams. We're going to keep all this. I'm going to keep Mockingbird. I know I haven't played her in the last 2 games yet, but having her in a pinch and being able to play her to stun an enemy, or if I just desperately need a chump blocker, I don't think it would be wise to get rid of her. And I know I've used regroup because that specifically is handy for Winter Soldier. Because as long as I have preparation cards on the table, I can turn around and get him right back out again. I honestly might just... Well, you know what? Let's just let's do this balancing act. So we're definitely gonna put these back. And part of me didn't really want to get rid of the allies. But at the same time, I never played them. So am I really losing them? I wonder. Let's see. Is there something I could slot in here? Might be a little better. All these web warriors. I don't know if I can reliably get physical resources in this. Oh, that's right. War Machine's shield. He needs toughness. So I would be able to get the benefit of playing it with Government Liaison. So if I have a situation with Government Liaison and Helicarrier, I can play War Machine for 2. And then I have a blocker with toughness. And his attacks also have range. So if I'm dealing with something with retaliate, that's nice. What else we got? Gosmo's dog. I'm not playing any guardians in this. Heimdall's too expensive. Yeah, I hear with that. Ironheart's a nice cheap card that also lets me draw a card. It's a low cost draw. Yeah, after you play Ironheart from your hand, draw a card. So it's low cost. I get to draw a card. I can chump block. And with regroup and medlab and rapid response, I think that might be a good replacement. Because it gets down below the cost curve that I want to keep. Especially in single player. Let's see. Get rid of R&D facility. Sky Destroyer is unique, so there's only one of those. So really I can put that in anywhere. I'll just toss it in here. Okay. Quinn Carrier's Avenger. Avengers Mansion's too expensive. Symbiote suit. +1 to all my powers, +1 hand size, +10 hit points. And I just gotta pay a extra encounter card for it, huh? No thanks. So I'm looking through my basics here. And I'm going to put this video up separately. I just wanted to include it just because of the feedback I had received about this process. So if you don't care about this, obviously you don't have to watch it. But I'm going to post the Taskmaster game separately. Uh-oh. The heck did I... Yeah. Alright. Getting ahead of myself. Alright. Let's try to get this a little more organized. All right. So I cut 4 cards. So here's 1. So I'm really just looking for 3. Don't need to test the situation. I'm not Mystic. I'm not not using weapons. Exhaust your alter ego. Play a card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 3. You know, honestly, that would have been a good solution to dealing with those more expensive cards, but it's just not really consistent. Like, I'm not going to... Not only am I not going to consistently have that card when I need the more expensive things, but I'm not going to be an alter ego as much. Especially because I got the card that I picked as a prize from the last... for the campaign was the +3 hit points, +1 defense. So I'm not going to be... Exhaust an Avenger you control. Ready another Avenger. A hero taking amount of damage. Reduce it by 1. Man, remember these old cards? I am not Asgardian. Not an Honorary Avenger. Alright, not a mutant. No X-Gene. No fastballs. I don't have 14 hit points. I am not Rocket or Groot. I'm not a spider person. First aid doesn't really fit my need here. Plan B. Exhaust Plan B. Discard a random card from your hand. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Tactic. Man, I should be playing that with Cyclops. You know, a 1-cost upgrade that just sits on the field, and when I just have one dead hand or one dead card left in my hand, I just can't do anything with. The ability to just do 2 damage. Especially because I was just talking about the way damage scales. Plus, I kind of like the idea of, like, none of my preparation cards really being ready and not having any attacks, so Natasha just bites somebody. It's kind of funny thematically, actually. We'll see how I feel about it in a minute. Quarters, heal 1 damage. Hope I don't have to do that. Not as Guardian, not an android. Ready to rumble. After you change form, discard this card ready to your hero. Not going to be stance dancing. I am not a soul sister, nor a daughter of Thanos. Not a guardian. Discard adrenaline rush. Your hero gets +1 attack till the end of the phase. Nope. Def focus. I don't think any of hers are superpowers. Resourceful. Discard resourceful. Generate wild card. 2 inconsistent. Target acquired. After a boost card is turned face up, discard target acquired, cancel that card's boost ability. I do believe I already have... I know I have an espionage. And I believe I already have a target acquired. I wonder if I should put one of each so that I have 2 of them in there. Let's see. Swarm tactics, ordering chaos, hit points, recover, web warriors. All right. If I recall, I had 1 target acquired and 1 espionage. Definitely don't need all 3. Yep, there's 1. There's 1. Should I put a get ready in here, I wonder? Also, do I have... Yep, I have 2 rapid responses. So, am I counting that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 17th to 940, yep. Now, is it worth it for this? It's also worth noting that if you play the campaigns on Expert, you're not allowed to change your deck. I elected not to play on Expert just because I wanted to just goof off and have fun. So that doesn't affect this. There are only 2 boost abilities. What about Surge? Is it even worth... Oh, boy. Ugh. 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 Nope. That's right. He gets those gross attachments. Blech. Alright, so we're gonna ditch those. I'm not gonna... We will neither acquire targets nor conduct espionage. But I'm not going to take that last one out of the deck just for that. I'm not going to completely dissect it here. Alright, what else we got? Moira. Expansion. Discard Pulse Grenade. Choose an enemy. Discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. Deal 1 damage to the chosen enemy for each boost icon discarded this way. The Shield Justice cards, Global Logistics, I think it is, that lets you look at and rearrange cards. This card would work pretty well with that now. It used to be so random that it wasn't really worth it, but that'd be pretty cool. What else we got? Tech, weapon, exhaust plasma pistol, remove 1 charge counter from it, deal 1 damage to an enemy. I guess I could just get some guns. Enhanced physique, exhaust enhanced physique, remove physical counter. Let's see. Enhanced reflexes. Team building exercise. Why do I have so many team building exercises? This seems bizarre. You know, team building exercise would actually be another thing. Play a card from your hand that shares a trait with your hero, reducing its resource by 1. That would also work with all the shield mechanics. But spend a physical resource, discard this card, ready. That's really expensive just to ready. I don't know if that's really worth it. And we're back. All right. So it's a no-go on the basics. Except for Ironheart and Plan B. So we're going to look at the aspect cards. And leadership has no shortage of overpowered cards. So let's take a look. U.S. Agent, pricey but has Retaliate and 5 health. A good old tank. After you play a White Tiger from your hand, draw X cards, so maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain stage number. Black Panther, Stinger, a 1-cost ally. Play if you have the Avenger trait, which Black Widow does. Stinger does not count toward your ally limit. Wonder Man. X-Men. You know, Beast would be... After Beast enters play, search your deck and discard pile for a resource card. Add it to your hand. Using a double resource to pay for Beast and then getting it back? Or using your hand to play Beast and then getting a resource card because now you don't have enough cards to do anything else. Both handy. But kind of pricey otherwise. I'm trying to keep the cost low. Kalu. After Kalu enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event. Add that event to your hand. Shuffle your deck. The thing is, my deck's not very event heavy. It's a lot of support cards. Things that kind of come in and out of play. So, I don't know about that. Again, Hawkeye. Ant-Man. Ant-Man can be as good or bad as I am willing to pay for. Captain America's too expensive if I don't have a bunch of Avengers in play. Kate Bishop. Exhaust this ally. Discard a card from your hand. Deal X damage to an enemy where X is the number of printed resources on that card. You know, that's nice because I don't ever actually have to use her stats. And it gives me something to do with a dead card in my hand. So we'll put her down as a maybe. Squirrel Girl is nice when you have to deal with minions. After Adam Warlock attacks or thwarts, discard a card at random from your hand. If that card's printed resource has physical, remove 3 threat from a scheme, energy, heal 3 from an identity. Using Adam at the end of the turn, I can guarantee which effect I'm getting, which is nice. So it's really just a matter of being willing to pay the 3 to then get these effects. Being able to heal 3, being able to thwart for 1 or attack for 1 and then heal 3 is pretty nice. Removing 3 threat is also going to be super nice too, because I always have to balance my my turns around those. Dealing 3 damage to an enemy. So dealing 1 damage and then dealing 3 damage on top of the other things that this deck has going on feels like that's going to be really good scaling. Let's see. But do I want to add 3 allies, though? What was that? What was that one? Clarity of Purpose, I think. Where you attach it to somebody and then they take a damage to generate a wild resource. Because that's pretty awesome. Leadership skill. I'm not looking to make a Voltron deck. Clarity of Purpose. Attach to a friendly character, hero resource, exhaust this card, and deal 1 damage to the attached character. Generate a wild card resource. Being able to dump that onto an ally to do it is also nice. Granted, the card then goes away when I do that. This is also a kind of unique use case because I'm really building this around. I mean, it's kind of actually perfect time to talk about kind of the reason I'm doing this at all is because of the way Black Widow works. being able to shut down the villain phase and kind of do damage bit by bit. The last thing I want to do is end up having to flip down into alter ego, which, like, she has benefits for doing that for sure, but I don't want to spend too much time in alter ego, because in true solo you can end up losing the game because of threat really, really fast. And so I want to be able to make sure that I'm keeping control of the board in hero mode, letting the preparation cards do their work and shut down the villain phase, and then have something else managing kind of the rest of that. And that's why, to balance these allies, command team being able to ready an ally while having Winter Soldier in play, which, when all my preparation cards are out, he's coming out either severely reduced or free. And then, rapid responsing him back into play, or using regroup, and he goes back into my hand, and then I can play again the next turn as long as those preparation cards are still out. Or what was that other card? Med Lab. He goes to Med Lab, and then he comes back into play exhausted if I don't have any of those preparation cards. It's like, and then make the call. I can, get him back for free or reduce cost. So, like, I have a lot of options to get Winter Soldier back into play, or to get Maria Hill because she's cheap. So I've got options on, like, how to keep those other things in play. And so I'm wondering if Adam would be nice for these added benefits, because that's just one thing that he can manage for me. It's a lot of added benefit. But now I'm kind of running into the fact that all of these require ditching a card to get the effect out of it. I mean, Plan B is by its nature kind of a nothing else works, so throw this at it. I feel like preparation cards kind of disappeared after this. Like, they're not really any around past that cycle. You know what? Let's try it. Let's try with that and see what happens. Oh, those go in my deck. I almost shuffled those back in. Okay. All right, so now that I've made my decision, I'm going to kind of lay this out very briefly just to give a kind of a capstone on, like, what the idea is for this build. And then I will cut this video, and I will set up for Taskmaster, and then I will record that separately. So here's the idea. We have our shield cards. I know I gutted a few. Yeah, okay. So we have our shield cards. Okay. So as far as support, Helicarrier and Government Liaison, these are the cards that you want to have in. The earlier, the better. And especially Helicarrier, because if you can get Helicarrier out early on in the game, it completely changes your cost economy for the rest of the game. Government Liaison, same idea, because then Government Liaison lets you get the combination of these two cards lets you get Nick Fury out for 2, Mockingbird out for 1, Maria Hill out for free, which then also lets you draw a card, which is also worth mentioning. Playing Nick Fury for 2 gets you a 2-cost ally for 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health, chump blocker, and he draws 3 cards. So, and then it also, these are also shield cards. You get the 3 counters on them, you exhaust it, and you ready an ally. So this is especially worthwhile. You get Nick out, and because he goes away at the end of the round, you're gonna chump block with him. So, thwart for 2, attack for 2, exhaust command team, ready him, do it again. If both command teams are out, you can get 3 uses out of him. So that's the shield idea. Okay. So all these work nicely together. And they're all not overly expensive. And then to further augment how the allies kind of work together, there's these cards, which, Make the Call is a kind of a mainstay. Like, this card's been around forever for leadership. Okay. So, I mean, there's the other 3 allies that I put in there, of course, but this is more based around working with the allies. Okay. So Make the Call. I can pay the printed cost of an ally in any player's discard pile, put that ally into play under my control. Med Lab. When an ally is defeated by consequential damage, exhaust Med Lab, place it here, and then in Alter Ego, I can exhaust Med Lab, play the ally here as if it was from my hand. It enters play exhausted. That way I can hold on to a card and get it back into play. So, I could have Nick Fury go away. He goes on Med Lab. But if I paid for him with Helicarrier and Government Liaison, I can then do that again on the next turn and get that same 2-cost Nick Fury back out, which then lets me draw 3 cards again. But he has to be defeated by consequential damage, and that's where those command ships come into play. That's where that helps out. Rapid Response. After an ally you control is defeated, discard Rapid Response, put that ally into play from your discard pile, deal 1 damage to it. So, again, I block with Nick Fury. He is then defeated by that block. He goes to my discard pile. Rapid Response triggers, Nick Fury comes back into play. And Nick Fury's response is after Nick Fury enters play. So it doesn't have to come from my hand. He just comes back into play. I get the effect. I get to draw my 3 cards again. And then you put 1 damage counter on him. Plus, because of Rapid Response being a preparation, it triggers Black Widow's Widowmaker. And Regroup is, just pay 1, put it into play. When an ally is defeated by an enemy attack, return it to its owner's hand instead of discarding it. Forced Interrupt. When the round ends, discard this card. This is nice because in a situation where I may have to block with multiple allies, this works for all of them. It's not just one ally. So Nick Fury could be defeated by blocking, and he goes into my hand. And then Maria Hill could be blocked, or defeated by blocking. It goes into my hand, and then Regroup just gets discarded at the end of the turn. And so we basically transitioned from the shield and allies to the allies in preparation, which then leads to just the preparation, which is the crux of Black Widow. That, and that, and that. So all of these are preparation cards. They go into play, they stay in play, they activate with the triggered effect. When you play a preparation card in Alter Ego, you get to draw a card. And then when they're triggered, when you're in Black Widow, when you're in hero form, whatever their effect is triggers, and then she also deals 1 damage. That is not limited per phase or round. So if 3 of these trigger during a villain phase, that's 1 damage for each of them. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said about attack acrobatics could deal damage and then that. So attack acrobatics, When a boost card is turned face up, discard attack acrobatics, cancel the boost icons on that card, deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon canceled that way. So in a situation where Taskmaster attacks, flips this as his boost card, that's 3 boost icons. So attack acrobatics would cancel all 3 of those. So I would only get attacked for whatever his printed attack stat is. And then it deals 1 damage for each of them. So that's 3 damage canceled and then dealt to him, plus the 1 damage from Widowmaker. So I take 3 less, 3 fewer damage, and he takes 4 as a result. So that's the preparation cards. And then the rest of it is kind of just like everything else that fills in the gaps. Dance of Death is her kind of like hero big attack card. Black Widow's Gauntlets lets you... It's an upgrade you put into play, and it lets you generate a wild card resource to pay for a preparation card. I'm pretty sure I had both of these out in both of the previous games, so if you've seen those videos, you've seen how this works. Safe House number 29, when you're an alter ego, you can grab a preparation card from your discard pile and add it to your hand. So, it not only helps your hand size, but if there's a specific preparation card you're looking for, you can get back into play. Synth Suit's the one thing I haven't been able to get into play these last 2 games. It gives her +1 defense, and after you trigger the ability of a preparation card you control, exhaust Synth Suit, ready Black Widow, which would be nice because if you've seen the last 2 games, you've seen me constantly defending, and then during my turn, I'm exhausted. So if I can get this out, defend, trigger a preparation card during the enemy phase, and ready Black Widow, that would be fantastic because then I can, attack or thwart. Covert Ops is nice because it lets you thwart for 4 and confuse the villain, but you can do it in alter ego. So that's amazing. Bucky, I've already talked about quite a bit. So there you go. That's kind of the idea of what I want this deck to do and how I want it all to work together. So if you're not familiar with Black Widow, or you're still new to Marvel Champions, or if you're not used to playing some of these leadership cards, then I hope this was kind of elucidating. If you're a Marvel Champions veteran, you've been around since the beginning, then I hope this is kind of a fun refresher, kind of a look back at some of these cards and maybe some things that you haven't seen in a while, maybe haven't used in a while. But with that, I'm going to get this all shuffled, set up for Taskmaster, and then I'm also going to adjust the gain on my microphone. Apparently, I keep getting kind of loud, it seems. So I'm going to get this all done. And then we will start this fight. So I will see you in that video.